Namaskaram. How to reach God in Kaliyuga by Lord Krishna. Let's see the story. After Mahabharata war, Yudhishthira was ruling Hastinapura righteously. One day, Lord Krishna visited Hastinapura. At that time, Yudhishthira was in the court. Four other Pandavas invited Lord Krishna and they were having conversation with him. At that time, Arjuna asked Krishna, in this yuga, Dharma is dominant. How will Kaliyuga be? Will Dharma be sustained there from the start? How will the people of life be affected in Kaliyuga? Krishna replied, it is not easy to explain. Better let me demo you about the life of people in Kaliyuga. Then Krishna took the bow. He stringed 4 arrows and shoot them in 4 different directions. Then Krishna smiled and said, each of you go and bring back 1 arrow to me. By hearing that, each one of them went in 4 different directions in search of the arrows. When Arjuna picked 1 arrow, he heard a cuckoo singing in charming voice. He was mesmerized with that. When he looked up the cuckoo, he was shocked to see cuckoo singing, but at the same time eating the flesh of a live rabbit. The rabbit was crying in pain. He was surprised to see such an act by a divine bird. He left the place, wondering why such a divine cuckoo would do something that cruel. The next person to pick up the arrow is Bhima. Bhima picked the arrow and he saw 5 wells were there. One widespread single well was in the center and it was surrounded by 4 wells. 4 wells were overflowing with sweet water as if they were not able to hold the water, but surprisingly, the big one in the center was completely empty. He puzzled at the sight and he left for the palace. The next person to reach the arrow was Nakula. He saw a cow who was about to give birth. He waited to see the cow and calf's condition after the birth. After giving birth, the cow started licking the calf. To his surprise, the cow did not stop licking. It kept on licking even after the calf was clean. People separated the calf from its mother with great difficulty. But by the time they removed the calf from its mother's side, the calf was totally injured. Nakula wondered why such a behavior from a calm animal. He returned to the palace, thinking on the behavior of the calm animal cow. The last person to reach the arrow was Sakadeva. He picked the arrow near to a mountain. There was a big rock falling from the mountain in a full speed, and it was uncontrollable. The rock was destroying and crushing everything on its way down. But the rock was stopped by a small plant. Sakadeva was surprised to see that. He rushed towards a palace to ask about the reason on this small plant action. All the 4 Pandavas returned to the palace and explained to Krishna what they have seen while they were picking the arrows. They all sounded surprised, confused, and started asking for the explanation from Lord Krishna. Krishna then smiled and started explaining to Pandavas, Arjuna, what you saw is the relationship between the priest and the devotees in Kali Yuga. The priest will have a sweet voice that is a great knowledge, but they will exploit devotees the same way the cuckoo was doing with the rabbit. Then he turned towards Bhima and said, Bhima, what you saw is how wealth will be in Kali Yuga. The poor will live among the rich. The rich people will have excessive amount of wealth, which will keep them increasing and overflowing, but they won't offer a single penny to the poor people. They will waste the money for themselves as they have more than what they need, but they won't be sharing with those who are really needing the money or suffering for money. Just like how the 4 wells were overflowing, but the center one was really empty. Then Krishna turned up to Nakula and said, Nakula, what you saw is a relationship in the families. This is how the parents and the children relationship will be in Kaliyuga. Parents will love their children so much, but their love itself will destroy their lives, dreams, and future of the children. Then he turned up to Sakadeva and said, Sakadeva, what you saw is how people will live in Kaliyuga. People will fall in terms of character. They keep crushing and destroying everything on their way to success. Just like a big rock, they won't listen to anyone. They won't follow the path of Dharma. When they realize that they have all done or selfish acts, when they call for help from God, they will be stopped and saved from falling further down. Just one call on God's name will help them to hold them from the doom. Calling the God is like a small plant that saved the big rock from falling further. So now you all understood how hard life will be in Kali Yuga and how easy it will be to reach the God by chanting the Lord's name. Now Krishna smiled at the Pandavas. Pandavas were entitled on Krishna's words. What you can learn from this story? We are living in Kali Yuga. We all know from Krishna's words it is very hard to live in this Yuga. For that, if we chant the Lord's name, then we can overcome this difficult life. Let's all chant the Lord's name daily to seek His blessings. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu.